Volvo recently held a big test drive event for the EX30. I have summarized some additional information from other reviewers. There is the only available EX30 manual on the UK site. However, it's missing a lot of stuff, so it's not really complete. But I will quote and summarize the parts that are useful and added some comments on features comparison chart. It's called the door opening alert, and Volvo touted it as a first for the EX30. At the time, I thought the child lock button was somewhere on the monitor. We are talking about the child lock feature again later. The EX30 is completely missing an electric child lock, so I'm wondering if they are trying to compensate for that. This safety feature can be implemented on existing models without adding any new hardware, just by combining the existing radar with the door open signal. The only way this would be useful is if it worked with an electric child lock. The EX30 has a new feature called Traffic Jam Assist. The wait time between stops and automatic resumption has been increased to 10 seconds. It was 3 seconds before, and now it's 10 seconds. This could be very useful on expressways where you are stuck in traffic. This is a feature of the EX30 that can be emphasized once more. But if you look at it a little deeper, it can be implemented without adding any new hardware. It's probably possible enough for the existing models, but it would be nice to update this. In addition to the rear cross traffic alert and auto brake, from now on, the front cross traffic alert is also available. This is made possible by the fact that the EX30 has 2 new radars on each side of the front bumper. However, it does not feel that emergency braking intervention will be implemented based on this. It also includes the same rear collision warning system, and here is how it works on the outgoing model. It can detect an approaching car at a speed of less than 30 km per hour. If the system determines that a collision is inevitable, the electric front seatbelt pretensioner pulls the occupants in and the brakes are locked in, preparing you for secondary injuries on impact. If it is still hit, the whiplash system is also activated to reduce cervical spine injury to the front seat occupants and so on. However, the EX30 manual doesn't explain this at all. The word whips doesn't even appear. So I'm wondering if this feature exists. But in the build-up section, it looks like it has. And if you look at the description, it says that the seat back and headrest moves backward with the occupant. For reference, the old Volvo's whips is specialized for rear-end collisions. The new Volvo's whips is specialized in run-up crashes. So based on this comment alone, it reads like the EX30 operates the old way, which will be confirmed later on when the EX30 is released in Europe and tested by Euro NCAP. In terms of side airbags, the EX30 is obviously a model that's going to be sold in Europe, so it has side airbags, specifically called far side airbag. But it doesn't come out on both sides like the C40, it's just on the driver's side. If you look at other brands, they usually only have one, and it's rare to find a car that has 2 like the C40. Seatbelt pretensioners. In all new Volvo models, the electric pretensioners are activated first if a danger signal is detected in advance. Only in a collision triggers the explosive tensioner, which is activated by explosives. But the EX30 seems to be missing the electric tensioner, and the manual doesn't explain it. It's something that I think might be missing given the class of the car. The EX30 is the first Volvo to feature fully automatic park pilot assist. Fully automatic means the system steers, changes gears, moves forward and backward, and stops. But the EX30's press release from last June said that the system works not only in perpendicular and parallel parking, but also in bends and fishbone parking spaces. The manual only mentioned perpendicular and parallel. So I don't know how far these self-parking features can go. I will have to test it out with a real car to find out. The 360-degree view also includes a 3D feature. However, the quality of the graphics is a bit lackluster. Driver's seat memory function. As you know, there's no physical button, so I guess it's possible in the settings. However, if there is only one save option, it is practically useless. There should be at least two so that you can flip it back when you take a nap. But again, there is no mention of seat memory anywhere in the manual. It's just a bunch of settings in the user profile settings. It's just vaguely explained like this. So I looked at the interface review and I don't see anything in the profile settings about storing seat position. So it's not a question of whether you have one or two memories, but whether there is or not. The EX30 has manual child lock, not electric. However, Volvo has had electric child restraint as a standard since at least the 2012 model year that I am aware of, and with the push of a button, I could lock the rear doors and windows at the same time. But in the EX30, you have to manually operate the dial on the side of the door, and the rear windows can be restricted in the settings. But realistically, you would need a key or something that looks like a flathead screwdriver to turn the dial. But since the EX30 doesn't even come with an emergency physical key, that manual child lock is going to be a pain in the ass to operate. There is no glove box lock, so there is no place to store valuables in the car. In previous Volvo models, you could log in with the key. The XC90 Sensus model was the only one that had a password lock. This feature is also missing from Android. Am I the only one who needs this feature sometimes? The core model loses the rear seat USB charging port and wireless charging in the front. This is the first time I have seen USB ports differentiated by trim level. Wireless Apple CarPlay is finally standard. Car area, the core lack a power-operated trunk. Was there ever a time when Volvo excluded even this feature from the base trim? For some reason, the Indigo interior code leaves out the seat pockets. So I went back to the promo videos and realized that even in the Ultra trim, the Indigo interior code doesn't show the seat pockets. I have mentioned this before, but the second row of the EX30 has no armrest, and the inner bins in the rear doors are so thin there's no room for a to-go cup. Rear passenger convenience sucks. I guess it's better to have a basket with a logo on it that's not clear what it's for. There's a mirror inside the sunshade, but no light. The windshield washer fluid doesn't come out of the wiper blades like on today's models. It sprays from under the bonnets like the older models. When you're driving semi-autonomously, you can set the time interval with the vehicle in front of you in 3 levels, but this is adjustable from the center monitor. For some reason, I didn't see a button on the steering wheels to adjust the distance, so this is now in the center monitor. But for me, I often find myself changing the gap settings based on traffic conditions. If I'm on a smooth road and I'm picking up speed, I will make it longer. If I'm on a freeway where I have to do turtle maneuvers, I will shorten it. But I don't want to have to go into the center monitor, take a few taps and change it on the fly. Now when I look at the steering wheel switches layout on the EX30, there's an empty space on the left, and we could have put the forward and after distance adjustment there instead of having to do it with the 2 switches up and down. We could just use 1 switches to keep rotating the distance setting. I don't understand why they would exclude a feature that is so frequently used and wasted space. In Android, The distance warning to the vehicle in front of you was set to default value. In this improved version of EX30, it is now possible to set in 3 stages like in the past Sensors OS. On and off for rear collision warning. Is there a time to set this to off? Maybe you are feeling a little shitty behind you today, or maybe you are just feeling like you need to lay in hospital. I don't want to turn it off anytime. There's a setting that shouldn't even be asked. Volvo put something in there that shouldn't be there. Another unusual setup for indoor light is that there is no main interior light, just a reading light that shines toward each seat. You can go into the setting and turn on all 4 leading lights at once. That's the setup that allows you to utilize that as the main interior light. The loop switch panel has a windshield defroster button in their location. Does that feature have that many uses urgently? The ability to automatically close and open the windows when you lock your car door from outside. Also, on and off setting that user can choose. I will probably leave it on most of the time, but I like the idea of asking for user preference. The switches on the left side of the steering wheel, that button is customizable, so you can choose one of 3 settings like that. If you look at it, you are going to use it as one pedal drive on and off. This is one of the few things I like about the EX30. However, there doesn't seem to be a setting for the strength of the regenerative braking.
To something huge.
When the original EX30 was first introduced, I expected it to be Volvo's first entry-level electric car. I really liked the design, which had a premium brand feel, if not luxury. Plus, it was made in China, so it would be affordable. I thought it would be a great way to introduce younger consumers to Volvo. However, I think the price came out a bit high. This car is 100% identical to the main hardware, from the platform to the battery to the motor. G-Car X under the Geely brands, and in Europe, where this model is about to sell, there are a lot of comparisons between the EX30 and G-Car X. It is being criticized as a Chinese car that is not like a Chinese car that is expected in the future. However, as a new brand, it is not at the stage where we can talk about brand power or recognition. I think that's why Geely puts a lot of features they could on G-Car X. On the other hand,
and Volvo has straight up copied Tesla with the new EX30. You just get one big screen in the middle of the dash, and there isn't even a heads-up display beyond the wheel. This means you have the same problem as in the Tesla Model 3. You end up glancing to the side like that all the time while you're driving to check your speed.
The EX30 was designed under the lofty banner of Scandinavian style, and I think Volvo is trying to force inconvenience on their consumers to make profits by cost reduction.